and making sure you're not spawn camped.
I think we could honestly, this might be in theory one of the best maps to use missiles on. And I say in theory primarily because you would have to definitely focus on someone who is above the map, on the on the top half of the map, since there are both a top half and a bottom half. You don't want to target anyone under the bottom half because then they can just hide underneath the stage and not be targeted at all. But it is definitely in that same breath, it's going to be good to get people off that top half of the map and make them move. And honestly, the hidden danger of Tina missiles themselves is less so you being targeted, but more so that you being targeted and then running them into your other teammates, or your teammates bringing them into you while you're trying to run away.
We are indeed seeing the Dark Tetra Dualies, which are going to have the Auto Bomb and the Splashdown. The Splashdown also getting tuned a little bit. That's the special we really haven't talked about at all, is that now that radius of your Splashdown is actually a bit larger, and the unpainted surfaces are actually painted now more so than they were before. So in this game, we are seeing the double Slosher composition, one Slosher Deco and one Tri-Slosher Nouveau, which will have that InkStorm to help paint both the map and the zone if possible passively. They will use it here in addition to the bubbles coming out. Pacecat running this Forge Splattershot Pro and isn't afraid to be very aggressive with it. Gets right into the face of the Slosher, which doesn't have a fantastic time to kill. So when you fire off one shot with that weapon, you're essentially locked into it for quite a few frames. So Fate and the other Slosher are going to have to be very, very careful when attempting to go into some engagements.
I think right now that Pacecat is using that rather not the aggression, but the option to be both aggressive and defensive. As you can see that the Bamboo and the Forge are the max range for Alacrity. And right now, Placecat's kind of having to dodge around the Jet, who immediately outranges him, but he can still outrange everyone else and use that aggression to, force the other teammates, or rather the other enemies back, to make them have no choice but to back up and make a move, or else they die to him.
And there's the strength of those Tenet missiles. Really nowhere to go as that Bamboozler is going to fall. I believe that to be Wisdom. Nice indirect kill there by Not Pion there. Looking for another kill as they attempt to push forward here. It did take them a little bit to get that zone capped once they did force the 3 down and eventually full wipe. But now Galaxy Splat attempting to do what Alacrity was doing before, which is keep them locked in their spawn. The bubbles do come out. That will be 1 down as Alacrity does still have the 3v2 advantage here. Now the InkStorm attempting to come out on the zone, and they will get absolutely annihilated as the baller likely not even needed there from Fate, but it'll be the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, and they will reclaim that zone even though they have a massive penalty to work through. They have now forced Galaxy back to their spawn, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to re-engage.
Right now, I think what we're seeing is that both teams have a really good way to lock people out. They're just kind of different, whereas Galaxy Splat is using their weapon comp to lock people out. As you can see that the Blasters went very far up and just had under their spawns so that they had no choice, as opposed to Alacrity using just their sheer amount of painting power to keep people occupied. Right now it's more a choice of who can use their advantage of the way that they lock out people better.
And I cannot understate the value of the Bamboozler Mark II that did just go down there. It has that burst bomb launcher, the only weapon of its kind so far, and it looks like it's going to help them paint this zone enough. They get stopped at 1 as a desperate attempt here from Galaxy Splat to keep it locked down, but the baller will end up keeping the zone in favor of Alacrity, so they will take game 1. The Bamboozler, a nice part of that, of course, you can charge up that weapon so quickly. It's never a one-shot kill on its own, but if they've already taken some damage, it can be, and you can just tap shot them after that fully charged shot so quickly that it's such a tough weapon to face. Pretty evenly spread in terms of KAs as well. All the players split between 8 and 6. So I think there's some hope here for Galaxy Splat to come back and tie this series up at 1 as we move on to game 2.
Yeah, I think Galaxy, like I was saying, I didn't really know too much about either team, but I think that really showed that, like how I predicted, that since both of these teams made it to redemption bracket, that they both have a equal chance of moving forward out of it. And if they're probably a bit more evenly matched, as we saw with Galaxy Splat being able to come in and hold that zone and almost getting the lead until Alacrity was able to overwhelm them with that strong offense push back in. And so going into Rainmaker, Sturgeon, Shipyard, what do you think we can see from either of these teams here?
Rainmaker is such a fun mode for this map. I really do enjoy watching it. The vast majority of teams will choose to go left. They'll jump on top of the box, make the leap of faith all the way over to the platform that can open and close at a 90-degree angle, and the alleyway on the left-hand side of that. Because of that, it's pretty predictable. So a lot of teams will allocate one or two of their members that are maybe coming back from spawn or that are in a position to get back. They'll just have them wait over in that alleyway just in case the Rainmaker is able to make that jump, or even try to prevent them from making that jump in the first place. That's an area where Wisdom could excel. Wisdom, if Galaxy Splat tries to make a push, if they have that burst bomb rush at the ready, they could just throw a flurry of instantly detonating bombs at the Rainmaker carrier and any of the bodyguards around them, and try to shut them down that way. Regular chargers here can do very well, as there's a lot of high ground opportunities, a lot of obstacles, and you can use that to keep control of mid very well. And it looks like the composition isn't changing up too much. We do see an Explosher here. Not Pion going to be going with the Splat Charger, so they will be able to have that range, and Wisdom with the full swim speed kit going to be trying to get right on top of people and use that quick kill advantage to get some picks for their team.
Really interested in the comp that Galaxy decided to run here. So far, I'm not really seeing any, like, I guess you could say stereotypical aggressive weapons. Oh no, it looks like Galaxy unfortunately just had a DC.
So because it was so early on, I think they'll be able to replay it. The other members of Galaxy Splat were just walking around. They were not attempting to shoot any of the members. As far as I remember from the rules, if the DC happens in the first 2 minutes and the objective has not yet reached 60, they will be able to replay it, and I believe teams get 1 replay per tournament. So if Galaxy Splat does want to use it here, they will be able to, but that's an unfortunate thing to have happen to you. We really don't want to have that happen again, because they might not be able to replay it at that time. The NZAP, of course, also a very integral part of their comp. They're essentially acting as that support player, trying to build up as many ink armors as they can, just so that their survivability goes up even by a little bit.
Yeah, what I was trying to mention before they had that unfortunate DC was that on the side of Galaxy Splat, I believe they had a Explosher, a regular Charger, the NZAP, and a Brush. And then they didn't see any really aggressive, stereotypically aggressive weapon like a custom blaster or a Tinatech or anything, or any dualies like Emperies or Dapples. And so that, as far as I consider, I'm not sure if they were honestly using maybe the NZAP to be more aggressive, unless they were having, having the Explosher and the Charger as the back line, as opposed to, being aggressive as a whole unit.
And Bubble Blower isn't a special we see too often on Rainmaker. It's much more suited to basically every other mode. You can use it in Clam Blitz to push forward and try and get the barrier broken down. You can use it on Splat Zones to try and get that zone painted immediately, or you can use it on Tower Control to sort of block the area around the tower. But for Rainmaker, your primary objective with it is going to be providing a bit more shielding for the Rainmaker as you're pushing forward. So you're not likely going to be throwing it in every direction. You're going to be throwing it just in a straight line to try and get as much protection on your Rainmaker carrier and your bodyguards as you possibly can. So, of course, the weapons and the gear are not really going to be changing here. I do want to also focus the Dapple Dualies, which we haven't really seen or talked about that much. The regular Dapple Dualies are going to have the Suction Bomb Launcher and the Squid Beacon, which is a sub that does not get used that often, but on a larger map like this one here, Sturgeon Shipyard, it can be a very, very nice boon for your team to have. And it looks like they're deciding to go to the right-hand side. They will get shut down immediately. Not Pion, playing exactly where most Chargers play. And what a flick! It looks like they were the primary catalyst in shutting that push down.
Not Pion being able to, once again, just have that strong anchor roll. I think that's where we're going to see this team shine, at least in this match, is that they're going to have a lot of really strong backline. They're going to be able to stop that push, but maybe where we might see them struggle is them pushing forward.
Payscat attempting to roll in, has to make use of that relatively low range that the Dapple Dualies have. They do have the Suction Bomb Launcher at the ready, so they really need to not take shots from either the Charger here or this Explosher, but they will take both here, as Not Pion and the Explosher do team up. Rainmaker sitting popped, but untouched so far. Nice shot there on Tonight. That's going to be a huge pick. And Snipers, that's your main goal, right? Is provide that pressure and also get those opening picks for your team to start to push forward here. The Stingray yet again coming out to try and shut down Alacrity's push. Payscout will go down, and a nice kill there, or attempted kill there by the baller, but it will not come to fruition, as Gameboy, who was the player that DC'd, will end up getting the lead here for Galaxy Splat.
Excellent play on the side of Galaxy Splat there. I think instead of having that aggression that you would see of getting in Alacrity's face, they let Alacrity come to them instead, and then once everyone on Alacrity's down, they make the push then.
Pacecat, mostly relegated back to mid here, is in his optimal range to try and get this kill, but loses sight of the target and is not able to get anything going through. The Charger very far pushed up. You usually don't see Chargers just sitting casually in mid, and I am getting from chat that I think this Charger's on sticks, which is very unusual in the competitive scene. The gyroscope is the much more common type of shooting method there as Fate will fall. Looks for another kill there onto the Rainmaker, and they will resort to the Stingray to try and get that kill. Finds a bunch of shots on the Pacecat, and they will end up getting the kill, looking for the rest there onto Wisdom, but Wisdom will definitely dodge those shots. The Exposure will fall too, so this is going to be a pretty difficult situation for both the Octobrush and the Slosher. Nice job there staying on top of the box, though, in order to stay alive. However, they will only get a couple of shots on a Pacecat, and this push will continue.
Right now, we're seeing that we have that Alacrity is trying to find those holes in Galaxy Splat's chips in their armor, and they're using that by going that left route. Usually that is the top slow push where you keep jumping and you keep pushing and pushing, you keep jumping in, and you just kind of inch the Rainmaker forward bit by bit. But if no one's there, it's a easy run to get up there.
Faye was doing a bunch of spawn camping there, unfortunately swam back into a Rainmaker shot, so that is going to be the end of the push, and Ultimate Banana will try to get something going here on the side of Galaxy Splat. Not Pion, or Pion, I guess it could also be pronounced. It's really, in my mind, one of the MVPs of this set so far. Night will fall to their Stingray, and the DC has happened yet again. Unfortunately, Game Boy on that NZAP will fall, so they have a huge road ahead of them as Ultimate Banana will fall, and that's a full team-wide force by Alacrity, and with that DC, Alacrity looking to end things quickly here.
I think what we can see out of Galaxy Splat, if not Pion, can just keep up that strong backline and make those picks and just force those picks onto Galaxy Splat. They could definitely get enough down, use that Stingray on the top left, and with enough swim speed can just make a gun it down that left. It's not a huge lead, it's definitely a very convincing lead, but honestly in Rainmaker, anything is, very viable to happen.
Pacecat grabbing the Rainmaker here as Wisdom and Night attempt to push forward. Rainmaker mostly just sitting in one spot, which honestly for Alacrity is fine. They don't necessarily need to pop that Rainmaker shield, and it looks like that's what they're doing, just keeping the members of Galaxy Splat busy, while Fate, who's been a very aggressive slosher, attempts to do a bit of spawn camping, sees that the Charger is popping that Stingray. Of course, when you use it, you're locked into it. You cannot switch back to your main weapon. Ultimate Banana will get the revenge, but it will likely not be enough. Looking for another kill there onto the Tri-Slosher, but the Tri backs up enough as Knight is able to finish that kill off. 3 down situation. The Charger, the last one surviving, and this could end up being a knockout still as we have 30 seconds left to go.
Right now, Pacecat's doing a good job of just making sure that he stays in Galaxy's face. Even though they've been kind of trickling out, they've still been able to do it and keep it as cohesive as possible so that not too many are down at the same time, or at least if the one that is still up can kind of stall and keep it together so maybe they can get out of here eventually.
Huge double kill there, looking for the triple as Pacecat is over by the pedestal. Will end up finding the triple kill, so if there was any hope for Galaxy Splat, its name is not Pion, and now we have 60 seconds for this Rainmaker to push forward here. They do have to get completely from one side of the map to the other, and with an onslaught of Tri-Slosher and Octobrush shots, that will be the end of this match. So beautiful job there, as we see Alacrity in a 4v3 situation will take game 2 against Galaxy Splat.
Unfortunately, Galaxy just kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, like you were saying. They were either die to the the buckets in front of them or die to the baller behind them. Just an unfortunate no way out of that situation for them.
And despite that, some glimmers of hope as they had 2 players go 17 KA and 13 KA respectively in that losing effort. Of course, not Pion, we've said their name multiple times on that Charger, being very, very effective in getting those picks. I think if they have that 4th player they were missing, the player they were missing was their NZAP. And the NZAP does play that supporting role, is intended to get a lot of that map control back, build up that ink armor immediately, and give yourself a better shot in those 1v1 or even 1v2 engagement. So as we move on now to game number 3, which will be tower control on Piranha Pit, it is going to be very, very important for the members of Galaxy Splat to give Not Pion plenty of room so that they can sit on the tower, pick people off from afar, and then your shorter range weapons, like in theory Game Boy, as long as they stay in the lobby, should be able to keep most of the members of Alacrity at their spawn. It will have to be now a reverse sweep at this point. If they do end up losing, they will be relegated to the silver bracket tomorrow. But for Alacrity, this is just the beginning of their redemption bracket. If they do end up winning this set, whether it's a sweep or not, they will have to defeat Ink Zeta in order to make it to top 32. So Alacrity trying to remain fresh here. They've been doing a great job of it so far. They've looked very, very coordinated. Fate has surprised me the most. I think Fate playing about as aggressively with that slosher as I've seen from just about anybody, reminiscent of a Wadsum in that respect. But that is going to be one of the main players that they have to counter on the side of Galaxy Splat, because they are tearing open that spawn and making it so that Galaxy Splat has really nowhere to go.
I definitely think we can't count Galaxy Splat out right yet. I mean, internet troubles have unfortunately happened to the best of us. But in that regard, if we can, just remembering that last match, they still didn't get the knockout. Galaxy Splat still put up a huge fight, even though they were down one member for, mostly the entirety of the match. And so with, Game Boy, as long as they can stay in the lobby, they can make sure to, keep that paint up for the rest of the team, and so that way the team as a whole can move and give Alacrity Splat the challenge that they were wanting to give them.
Well, this is going to be the proving ground here. Game number 3. This will have to be the start of a reverse sweep if Galaxy Splat wants to move on. Alacrity just trying to finish this one out in 3. It's going to be a rather large map that we go to here, as we're seeing some rather unusual weapons in this lobby. I'm incredibly excited to see some of these. First one I want to talk about is Fates, the Clash Blaster Neo. This is one of those weapons that has 10 missiles, and it really does have a fantastic kit for a map like this one. It's a very long, narrow, relatively straightforward map, so you can use your curling bombs to get around smoothly, and then you have the 10 missiles. You can use those and pop them immediately, even on just one player, and it will do some severe damage.
So honestly, where that I'm more interested in truth is that GooTuber. Now, mostly I can say that anyone who's really been in the community long enough can refer to it mostly as the GooTuber as in itself a meme. It's not really taken seriously as any of the other weapons with lasers are. But it makes, honestly, with what we've seen regarding play out of Not Pion so far, I think we could see some really good moves and plays out of it.
And it does have one of those buff specials in the splashdown, so that radius is going to be rather large. Pacecat pushing in with another weapon, the Undercover Sorella, which does have the Splat Bomb and the Baller. So if they do want to push in and try and lock down the members of Galaxy Splat, the Baller is going to help do that. Game Boy forced all the way back, I believe, into the water. What an unfortunate way to go. And you can see exactly what Pacecat's doing here, just watching all of the entry points and trying to detonate it on somebody who falls a bit too early. So SBC using another weapon that we don't see all that often, which is the sloshing machine. We don't see it that often anymore. Historically, it has been a rather popular weapon, but we're now in what could be considered the Tentum Missiles meta in addition to those inkjets. So using it on 2 people on the tower, Wisdom likely going to have to move, but I like that Wisdom had enough time to stay on the tower and make sure they get that lead and then reposition themselves.
I definitely know that I think at least someone said that we could see potentially dualies, the regular dualies, especially after having the Emperor dualies in the meta for so long, that we could see the dualies become a really good weapon to churn out those Tenna missiles, constantly to keep the enemy team on the move. Tenna missiles don't seem too annoying, but as soon as you're having to constantly move over and over and over, it can be really annoying to have to dodge and constantly look out for it.
Pacecat not able to make use of that canopy. That's one of the other real buffs that we haven't talked about, is for the Undercover Grella class. If they do get a kill or an assist, whether that canopy is fully gone or just a bit damaged, they will get its full health back. They will receive an entirely new canopy. So that is part of the appeal of it now, is that you can push forward, hold it open, you can see through it, get some kills with it, and then immediately have that canopy be regenerated right away. Wisdom trying to get over by the tower's Fate right now is locking it down. You really want somebody like Fate pushed all the way up in their spawn. They'll push back a little bit to use those 10 missiles, and PC rather, having to back up a bit. It's not far back enough, as they will fall in a 3v2 situation now for Alacrity. One of the biggest dangers that they're facing now on the side of Galaxy Splat, though, is not Pion. You can just grab a fully charged shot and try and push forward with it and get a couple of kills that way, and that's exactly what we've seen. Pacecat trying to hold things down with the Baller, but you can't climb the tower that way. It's going to be a tough fight here as they attempt to knock this one out.
Right now, I think what we need to see out of Galaxy Splat is that in their desperation to stop the tower, no one's really building their special so that they can use their special to get, enough of Alacrity down and get this push stopped. Because right now with Alacrity at the last checkpoint, they're really on the tightrope here, and they have to either get on the tower at this point or have a special to get them all off of it immediately. And with that, Alacrity will get the knockout, unfortunately, with no specials to stop it.
Massive plays there. So the burst bomb rush held onto until the last 15 or 10 points, and then used by Wisdom to make sure that nobody could even attempt to climb on the tower without taking damage there. We do see a 12 KA from Pacecat. 5 ballers built up. Tower control not usually the mode that you'll see baller on, but with such room and area to maneuver around in, it does give him an opportunity to watch out for any of those drop down points that exist on this map. So a great sweep there by Alacrity. They will face Ink Zeta to see who will move on to top 32. It is not over for Galaxy Splat. They will simply be moved down to tomorrow's silver bracket. And I am looking forward to seeing what Alacrity can do in their next matchup. And they are, I believe, the third match to finish up here